Yeah. So what are some of the subjects you like shooting, in both color and black and white?
Well, I guess for both, I will say waterfalls. I found like the majority of waterfalls, especially if they have a really nice, heavy flow to them, like the brighter they are, I guess. The more silky smooth it looks in long exposure. I like it in both styles, and I would say the majority of my waterfall shots are edited with both those in mind, or even when taken out in the field, I do have those in mind. Especially if you can elongate it with like a neutral density filter, and then a polarizer, of course. But I find it like certain ones will look better, honestly, in black and white, or at least equal compared to their colored counterparts. Especially when you get to like towards the winter waterfalls, where like the foliage is pretty much entirely lacking, and it's just a bunch of brown, like dirt and soil or just whatever surrounding it. And there's bare trees, and it's kind of like it's a little more bland, we'll say. I find those look a lot better in black and white, just because it does add more emphasis on the texture and form of the falls itself, instead of like the surrounding foliage, which if it was a summer or spring would be pumping out the greens, or in the fall it'd be the yellows, reds, oranges, and so on. So stuff like that, waterfalls, certain bird shots. I'm thinking in my head now to a couple of springs ago. I was doing some at a local like community park. There's always every like May some Canada geese, goslings, like little babies basically, and you can basically go for a couple of weeks and just see them like get raised, and that they're feeding, they're swimming around, kind of staying close to each other. And I've gone there a couple of springs now, just taking images of them. And I remember the first time I like properly did this. I found that the images, because there's so much high noise, which I feel like is another aspect we could talk about,
Mm-hmm.
they just looked a lot better in black and white. And there was a much, it was I think there's like a pitter patter of rain, if I recall, like on and off, in this evening I was there, and it's just, really, really cloudy, dark kind of day overall, like very, very low light situation. But there I was, just laying out flat on the ground, in the middle of this community park. It's wet, but I don't care. I'm getting these amazing shots, at least I think, of these birds and stuff, at their eye level, and just the interaction between the parent and the baby and everything, and the child, the gosling, and we'll say. But like the higher ISO and the higher noise from it, I just felt like it like worked better in black and white, and it made it much more. I keep wanting to go back to minimalist as the word for black and white, but like the images like felt more like simple, I guess, and like both simple but effective, we'll say. Um, and so this is like one instance where I feel like a wildlife shot felt more impactful, because of changing it to that color scheme or whatever, or lack thereof. But stuff like that. I'm trying to think of some other ones. Certain flowers, especially like flowers with white, petals or heads. Like I feel like they look a lot better in black and white. Not
Mm-hmm.
always, but like depends on what the background color is, of course, too. But like trilliums, like is just all white, especially since a lot of trilliums are like ephemeral flowers. So they'll be cropping up in March and April when there's no greenery surrounding, like on the forest floor. So it's just lots of brown and colors. So like those look really cool in black and white. Um, Stuff like that. Snow, even snow is a really great contender. Can already, in a lot of instances, can look black and white. At least appear that way. But truly converting it to it, I feel like just really adds a whole new dimension. It really puts the emphasis on the bright whites. So long as you don't overexpose it, of course, too. But I think that's it for black and white, as far as I can tell. Just rattling off a few off the top of my head. And then color, like I said, abstracts. Certain kinds of birds, like especially those brightly colored warbler species, look a lot better in color.
Mm-hmm.
In contrast, I'll say lots of flowers look a lot better in black and white. Basically,
Yeah.
most of the year, I'd say in winter is a lot of the times when I do black and white.